The 12 days of best ball roll on. You guys normally don't get a Saturday morning stream from me, but it is crunch time. We are banging out these drafts. And today I have a very special guest, my friend Jen Eakins from 4 for 4, and now also NBC Sports Edge. Very excited to draft a team with her. We'll also be giving away an Underdog hat to someone in the chat. So make sure you are hanging out for that. Let's do it.
Bro, I'm telling you, hop in these drafts when these idiot streamers are trying to draft and talk to the chat at the same time. It's so plus EV, bro.
Oh no, I think I accidentally just took Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. What do we call that? A no-no.
No way, you don't have to set your lineup. That's incredible. And recently eclipsed 23%, and I'd much prefer to be in the more 21 to 22% range.
Jen Eakins, welcome to the show. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing well. I am loving it. Look at you all highbrow with an intro and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. The quality of the content isn't highbrow, but I suppose having an intro for my show is slightly highbrow. So by the way, real quick, congratulations about your new NBC Sports Edge gig over there with my buddy Peacock Pat now.
Yeah, I'm doing that, and I'm also I've signed on with Yahoo this season, so I am all over the map. I'm still a 4 for 4 though. I mean, full on, but yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm doing some freelance work for both. It should be fun. As I tweeted out a couple weeks ago when I found out everything, I'm like, I may not go to the bathroom this season, but I'm psyched. There's a lot going on for me.
Yes, Steven is very excited to have Jen on the show this morning, as am I. Jen and I did a stream last year together around this time, probably, drafting a best ball team. So this is annual tradition. Got to get my draft in with Jen. And have you been doing a decent amount of drafting on Underdog?
I have. I've done quite a few. Now it's funny. These last couple of weeks, I'm like, all right, it's super crunch time. I was kind of casually doing here and there, and then I kind of let the slow ones run out, and then I had nothing for a while, and it was kind of nice. And then now I've ramped back up to the fast territory, and I've been cranking them out as much as I can.
Well, we did get the Influencer 102. I do recognize your colleague, my colleague, Daily Rojo, aka Peacock Pat Crane, in this draft.
Nice.
So we can battle it out with him. Luckily, sometimes, Jen, I know all the names in here, and then I know it's just going to be a wide receiver avalanche of a draft, but
Yep.
we might be okay.
Yeah, I'm looking through here, and I don't see anyone else that I recognize either, so that's kind of nice. It's funny. I actually tweeted this out recently. I was like, are you psyched when you don't know people, or are you happy when you don't know people? Or are you sad? Like, it's one of those things where when I open it up, at first I'm kind of sad. Like, oh, it's fun to draft with people, but then you're like, oh, yeah, you might actually have a better shot here.
I know it is funny. People were joking in my Discord yesterday of, what my ROI would be on teams that I drafted on stream versus off stream. Because
Right.
the on streams are generally all friends and family drafts. All right. 102.
We
are
are
you a
up.
Dalvin Cook person, or do you like mixing it up? Yeah.
No, I mixed it up after 2, but the first 2 are what they are.
Yeah.
You can't really. Yeah, and I haven't gotten a lot of the spot. I am usually like the 101 or like 8, 9, 10. So this is kind of, I guess slightly different for me.
Wait, is that just like a kind of a slight humble brag? I'm usually the 101, so this kind of feels
No,
different for me.
Listen, I've just been fortunate. I've gotten a few. In fact, the other day in a puppy, I kind of forgot. You sign up and then you start fishing around, and then all of a sudden I went back. I was like, oh crap! All right, cool. I'm the 101, and it drafted for me. I came back and it was at 6 or 7. I was like, all right, I didn't miss much. I'm good.
That's funny.
But yeah. But then, I had a really bad streak that I was getting the 9 every time, especially in these best ball manias for some reason.
Trust me, I know
I've lived in the 9.
How it goes. Pat and I, we've been doing a lot of the FFPC drafts, and we have seriously gotten pick 11 in almost 75% of our drafts. And we've done a decent amount now. And it's just like, can we please not do another draft from the exact same spot?
It's brutal. Even though I do like the 11. I mean, if you had to get stuck with something, it's not a bad one. But it is nice to, be able to draft from everywhere. Because then you can do different, you don't have all the same stuff. You have to force yourself to take different players when you get the same spot every time.
You really do. Yeah, and my thing is less about just always having the 11. Like you said, I don't actually mind that spot. It's more just like in these high stakes leagues, it would be nice to have one Christian McCaffrey share, and that's just not happening this year.
No, not from the 11, unless you get a bunch of, I don't know. Pat just posted a thing on Twitter a couple minutes ago. Some dude started out like he took from the 11, he took Mahomes, and then on the way back, he took Marvin Jones.
Love it.
I'm like, I don't get those people in my drafts. And that was like, I never get the crazy drafters that draft horrible stuff. Like I usually, for some reason, people draft pretty, correctly in most of the ones I'm in. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't get that good luck.
Pat's been running really well in that regard. He posted one of a Josh Allen, I think 101 team. He posted another one of Marquez Callaway in the first round. How is Pat getting all the fish drafts?
Yeah, that's crap. I think it's all Photoshop.
It's just, yeah, we have now moved on to the point in our society where we have to worry about deep fakes on our screenshots.
That's awesome.
You mentioned that you have been mixing it up at pick 3. Who is in that kind of mix for you if you get weird there?
Sometimes I'll go Devontae Adams. I'll go Kelsey. I've gone Aaron Jones just for fun because I think he's probably going to be better than most people think he's going to be. So I've kind of thrown him in there too, but it's mostly those 3 guys if I get crazy. And like I said, I don't have a lot of the 3, but like same thing from 4 or 5. I'll take Adams or Kelsey most of the time if I'm there.
Yeah, and I did a stream with Eric Beimfor earlier in the week, and we took Devontae Adams at 2, and kind of similar to your Aaron Jones thing. Like if you are taking Aaron Jones at 3, you're probably getting 2 really good wide receivers with him in the late second, early third, and there's not going to be a lot of Aaron Jones, AJ Brown, Keenan Allen teams. That's going to be really unique.
Yep, exactly. So you got to, listen, and as we all know, in these big tournaments, you have to kind of do that, or else you'll never differentiate yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
It's early where I am, just so everybody knows, and I didn't get a lot of sleep. So if words don't come out properly, that's why. Yes,
Jen is on our mountain time zone. She lives in the state I was born in, and I felt bad when I was asking her the time to do this, but she snap accepted, and you are crushing it. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. I don't miss a chance to hang out with Pete.
Yeah, I'm gonna get we're coming up here. Generally a pretty nice sweet spot here, depending on the room. Where have you been at as far as kind of the elite tight end, as far as Waller and Kittle in builds?
I will take Waller where we are. If he falls like where we are right now, I would definitely do either a Waller wide receiver or 2 wide receivers, depending on what whoever's in the 1 goes. I like Waller. I'm not super big on Kittle. His play style makes me really nervous. I feel like he's the guy that just like goes out there to get hurt, and so he makes me super nervous. So the only time I usually take Kittle is if he falls, and he really doesn't. So someone usually snatches him.
The one thing about Kittle right now is Ayuk is dealing with a hamstring injury. Richie James, not as if Richie James is stealing targets from Kittle, but it is getting pretty thinned out there. If Ayuk missed any time, I mean, Debo and Kittle would be a smash. I like Kittle, but I definitely understand the concerns, both with kind of the pass volume there. So we are on the clock. I mean, AJ or Jefferson seems nice.
Yeah, totally. And someone just took Kittle anyway, so we don't even have to worry about that. Yeah, I like AJ or Jefferson for sure. And on the way back, we get CD or Keenan or one of those guys or Terry. I'm totally fine with that. Unless you feel like, unless you take another running back. But you don't strike me as someone that would.
No, this is actually normally in these drafts. I can tell it's not friends and family because AJ Brown is not normally here. What are your thoughts? I did take AJ Brown. I don't think it's bad, but for some reason, I don't love using my first 2 picks on Vikings players. What's your thought on the Cook Jefferson kind of correlation picks?
I've done it, and I feel like if you do that, then you have to commit to Cousins and just go with it, right? I mean, that's really the only way to do that. I feel like if you do – I've done it by accident and then ended up like, oh, crap. I wouldn't do it often, but I feel like if you are going to go with Cook Jefferson, then you might as well just go full tilt and take Cousins later and maybe Irv Smith and just, full onslaught Vikings and hope they all don't get COVID and all that type of thing.
I agree. I think I think it's perfectly fine and makes sense, for just trying to advance from your league. Like you said, you grab Kirk Cousins, you're making a big bet on this offense. Where I get a little more queasy about it is thinking about it weeks 15, 16, and 17, and you're needing to just put up these massive point totals. And every time Dalvin Cook scores a TD, Jefferson isn't, and vice versa. And you're basically needing these explosion weeks. And so when you have both bullets in your chamber, your two best bullets, and they're on the same team from an offense that does still want to run the ball a ton and doesn't have the best playoff schedule, I start to worry if these guys can help me win $1 million together.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense. And you're also counting on Kirk Cousins to orchestrate all of it. So, yeah, I mean, it is, like you said, it is a little queasy inducing. But I feel like to have a couple of them in your arsenal, in your portfolio, you never know. I mean, what if for some crazy reason, Cousins, angry COVID Kirk Cousins goes off, and you never know how that happens, right? Every now and then, a random player catches fire on a season. He's never really caught fire, so I don't think that's going to happen, but I guess you never know.
As I promised, guys, on all of these streams, our friends from Underdog Fantasy have offered up a hat for me to give away. It's an Underdog hat. I have it just out of reach right now. I'm dropping a form in the chat right now. You fill that out. We'll do a drawing at the end of the stream. The form is in the chat, and you will be entered to win a hat. Jen, we see here in this board, I think a fairly standard draft. We haven't gotten one of the crazy picks yet.
No, not really. I mean, let's see here. Yeah, no. I mean, everything seems pretty standard. I don't see anything. Yeah, there's nothing crazy.
What have been, when you've been doing your underdog drafts, specifically in the tournament format, what are some of the ways or you kind of think about the drafts? Like when you draft the AJ Brown, Keenan, are you automatically kind of starting to think about Tannehill, Herbert type stacks? Are you trying to scoop the value? What is your kind of approach to these?
Yeah, it's tough. And you mentioned both of those quarterbacks are tough because Herbert, I want to believe in Herbert, and I do, but he's expensive. It's one of those where, like, can I wait a couple rounds and get a Tannehill instead? I feel like, yes, I do start to think about that. But at the same time, I also am like, you know what, we can also get cheaper stacks later. So I don't force it. But if it ends up being where Herbert's there and it's the right time, or it's even past the right time, then yeah. But I wouldn't reach for either one of them just because there's so much value later. And we can also, we can always grab plenty of, good stacks and cheap stacks as we move forward.
Yeah, the dynamic with Herbert is really interesting because he has this ADP, and yet he will often slip very far beyond it, especially if you're the one that owns Keenan Allen, because you can kind of push it in that regard.
Right.
And I think that's what's always really interesting. And I actually like push it because then you're saying maybe someone in that same range who's taking Mike Williams, they could maybe go back to back. But I've gotten him at pick 95, pick 100. So I'm definitely with you. I don't draft him at ADP, even with a Keenan stack, just because the room might not want him if they don't already have a Charger on their team.
Right. It's interesting. Like you said, it all really depends on the room, because sometimes you're in there with people that aren't even concerned with stacks. They don't even know what they are. They don't care, So then you get people that take random players where you're like, oh, and then they kind of screw you over, or they let them fall because they're not paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, this is how is Karain not in the chat? I actually wonder if Pat saw my tweet and knew we were going to be in this draft, or if Pat's just up on a Saturday morning drafting.
He's just randomly. Yeah.
All right. So we are, I think we're going to like our options coming up here. Talk me through what you're seeing here.
I would probably go with another receiver. I've been kind of out on Ayuk, and you mentioned he is kind of hurt. I've been more on the Samuel at cost if we're going to go, one of them. Thielen, we just kind of talked about that whole thing. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that let's see. I mean, I'm not opposed to Judy. A couple.
Yeah.
Not opposed to Judy at all. And who else? Chase just went. I was going to say I'm not opposed to him either.
Yeah, but Judy probably looks like nice, right?
Yeah, I mean that would be my. Oh, we on? Yeah, that would be my pick if I was solo. So sure.
It would have been my pick solo as well. So we're in lockstep there. I do honestly just before the hearing Ayuk's hamstring injury. I mean, basically the way I've been playing these is just because I'm doing so many that when there are little news bumps like that, I do want to try to get a bit of a discount if possible when that stuff happens, because I do have a ton of Ayuk in the middle and late fourth. So it's like, I'm now not going to continue to draft him there when there's also maybe things that are hurting him as well.
Right. No, I'm with you. What round are we in here? I can't.
We are at the 4-5 turn.
Okay.
Ayuk does go here. So this is always an interesting spot as well. I mean, at this point too, I don't have a ton of Thielen. I think it's justifiable here. I also don't mind, Claypool, Odell. What are you seeing?
I was gonna say, is Deontay Johnson gone? Like that's who I usually go for around here.
He's gone. Yeah.
Okay. Because he's been slipping. So yeah, I mean, I would Claypool. I don't hate. I mean, Thielen. I mean, listen, we could do what we just said that we don't want to do, but at the same time, I'm cool with.
You don't have to twist my arm on Claypool over.
Okay,
Thielen.
Cool. All right. Well, then good. We're good. Well, you just mentioned Thielen, so I was like, I wonder if he really wants him for some reason.
I know. I don't really want him, but sometimes I say I'm going into the season with like less than 1% Adam Thielen, and I'm like, maybe this is a good time. Nah, let's just get the young, exciting one.
Yeah, I probably have 3%. I mean, I've taken him just because of he has fallen because everyone's off him, and he's like, okay, well now he's here in the 6th. Like maybe I should take him, but yeah, and it's funny because I was almost going to make a pitch for Hawkinson or Andrews, but then for some reason I thought we were in the 6th. So yeah.
Yeah, that's also one of the weird ones when you're at the kind of 4-5 turn. Sometimes you get Pitts to fall, but because Hawkinson and Andrews so reliably go at the 5-6, I generally have a hard time, reaching on them.
No, I'm with you, but I feel like. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. Andrews, like, it's funny. Like, people hate Andrews, and it's kind of strange because when you look at his numbers, like, last year was a bad year, right? And he was still, like, tight end 5 or 6. I don't even remember. And, like, everybody on Baltimore's hurt, so I don't understand why people aren't taking Andrews more. Like, I guess he's not sexy, but at the same time, I think I have more than him than most because I'm looking at it like this offense. They're all hurt.
Yeah,
and he's the number one option even when they're not hurt. So I kind of just feel like people are down on Andrews for some weird reason, but yet I don't know.
Yep. And breaking news that I just pieced together from conversation in the chat: Gardner Minshew has been traded to the Eagles for a conditional 6th round pick. If my sources in the chat are correct, what's your snap take on that?
Wow, that's interesting. I don't think, I'm kind of befuddled right now at this news. No, I think it's interesting. I mean, listen, we all know that Philly has been wanting to add another piece there, so it's not super, super shocking. I don't know that he's going to surpass Hurts for the starting job.
I would hope not.
Right. So I don't know that it would change anything draft wise, but I guess, they got someone, I don't know. Listen, Minshew, like, I don't know. I've never really understood the love other than the mustache and the denim shorts and the hair, but like actually on the field, like, I mean, he did he was okay, but then he lost his job to Nick Foles. Like,
yeah.
And people are like all about him. And I've never understood the love.
To me, one of my kind of initial snap take to that is Deshaun Watson's best out for finding a landing spot is now gone. We were talking about this on Ship Chasing last night. I just think the Watson flyer is now just looking more and more bleak. At this point, the Eagles, it did confirm that they were interested in another quarterback. But if the Eagles aren't going to pull the trigger and they were already the most interested, I mean, who's giving up, 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson with a mountain of legal cases pending right now? I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I definitely have not. I have not taken Deshaun Watson. I think I took one like in April, but yeah, I'm definitely not even remotely. He's not going to play. I mean, I just don't see how that can happen. And I think, I've seen him go earlier, than really he should even for a flyer at this point. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think I don't think that he's worth, and not even a last round, not even a Mr. Irrelevant. Like I don't think it's, yeah.
I'm with you on that. I am going into the season with less than 1% Deshaun Watson. And if that burns me, I can still sleep easy at night.
Totally. Oh, I guess someone told me that he did not lose his job to Foles. I'm sorry. I guess I misspoke. I thought he did. Minshew.
Yeah. They were tanking and Minshew was winning. Okay. Let's see here. We're up in 2 picks.
Okay.
Interesting spot on the board. I think you can justify going in a few different directions. Probably not quarterback here. It's also pretty a tier break at tight end. So I think we're probably looking at running back, wide receiver.
Yeah, for sure. We're on the clock. I was going to go off on something. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Goodness. I was like, we got Cortland and Juju, who we have their counterparts. So that really.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst thing, I think, to stack those up.
Well, both of their quarterbacks are ridiculously cheap. So we know we can grab one of those way late if we wanted to.
Give me a name.
Let's go Sutton. I mean, listen, we have a history of doing Colorado things when we're together. So, I mean, here we are again.
I remember our team we did last year. I remember it involved a lot of Packers and Broncos. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, because we kind of went Colorado. Like we got Visca and we got like Gallup. We got like Colorado, not necessarily like, but we got Colorado like college people. And then we also got, I do remember Packers. I think we did the Adams Rodgers stack, which.
Oh, real quick, Jen, we're on the clock again here. Do you want to double up Pittsburgh and Denver?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
I think those are the 2 best picks that were available for these selections, and it just so happens that we've already made a bet on those offenses. So I think it's the smart play.
I do, and honestly, I think that Roethlisberger is one of those. Like I was completely out, and then now I'm like, you know what? Maybe they actually were able to repair his arm enough that he can actually play this year. I mean, I was definitely out, but in the preseason, he's made some decent throws. Like I think. With the amount of weapons he has, and we have 2 of them now. I feel like, yeah. I mean, and I think it's an offense that not a lot of people. Well, I guess some. I mean, listen, everyone's taking everything, but
how do you think about that? Because this one is always. At least we do have clarity on the Broncos QB situation now with Bridgewater named the starter. But I do often have time. I don't mind grabbing 2 wide receivers without the quarterback, like no issue at all. But how do you think about? Like in a situation like this, my first thought might be if we want to punt quarterback, we could set up a 3 quarterback build where we know we're grabbing Bridgewater and Roethlisberger as 2 of those 3. How do you think about that? Or do you still want to get kind of like a stud QB at some point?
No, I would totally do those 2. And then we can also do someone in the middle, like a Tua or something like that, to where we're, fine. It's not going to be like the strength of our team, but I think that we're going to get enough value in between. When everybody else is taking quarterbacks, I think we'll be all right. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. We're definitely on the same page with that. What would you say when you're doing these drafts is your most common construction or the construction you go to the most as far as the specific numbers for position?
I usually, and obviously it depends on what we do, but I usually go heavy wide receiver. Like I'll usually go like, my brain right now, but like I'll usually go like two quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and then like 9, and then what, 6, 5?
2, 5, 9, 2.
Yes, 2, 5, 9, 2. I was gonna say 2, 4, 9, 2, but I was like, that doesn't sound right. So yeah, I'll usually go 2, 5, 9, 2, depending on. Obviously, I may tweak something here and there. Like if we decide to go 3 QB today, then obviously we'll go probably 8 wide receivers instead. But yeah, or depending on tight end. Every now and then, if I super punt tight end, then I'll grab 3. Like if they're really ugly.
I have a much easier time going 3 QBs than I do 3 tight ends. I always just feel so gross. Just knowing that like the extra points that third tight end is giving me is so marginal relative to my overall points. But the other reason I don't get that much is because I'm willing to push it. Like I'll do lots of combos with like Gerald Everett and Cole Kmet. And I'll just be like, I'm fine with those two. I haven't done a lot of the like uber punt tight ends where my last three picks are tight ends.
I kind of have I've kind of ended up where I'm like, oh crap. But luckily, like I've got a lot of Ertz, so I think that's going to help in the long run. I kind of did a lot of him like in round 17 or 18 early on when we weren't sure what was going to happen. But yeah, I've done the like Dalton Schultz, Hayden Hurst, Austin Hooper. I've definitely gone all the way down there at times. And that's when it's scary, and I'll maybe grab a third. But, I did an article earlier this offseason on win rates. It was for best ball 10s, but still like that you rarely hit on a tight end in rounds like 15 through 18. It just, their win rate there, it just doesn't happen. So I know better, but I still do it.
Yeah, I know it's tough. I kind of treat it like a DFS lineup too, where I'll just tack on the quarterback with the stack. So if I've only been able to get say one of CeeDee Lamb or Gallup or Amari with Dak, then maybe I'm grabbing a Jarwin or a Dalton Schultz. You just toss it in and just hope if my quarterback goes nuclear, his tight end's probably coming along for the ride.
Right. No, totally.
Oops. We're up. Almost on the clock here again. Our guy Herbert is available at pick 94 if we want to go that route.
I mean, we can take him and then just wait and do Ben or Teddy and then just be done with it.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to put him in the queue real quick. Who else would you consider here?
I was going to say AJ Dillon, but he just went. So, I don't know. I would have to be just another, like a Waddle. I like Waddle, but I don't know.
Yeah. Let's, if we would have had more time, I might have said, let's get Waddle, knowing that I don't think this guy would take both Dak and an unstacked Herbert. But we did. It's hard on the short time frame to do all of that research and talk.
All right. Well, you know what? Now we have a really good stack. So
we do.
We can, and then we can. And another thing, I've actually have plenty of the stack, and then I end up taking Jared Cook, which is very gross. And I've kind of tried to make myself stop because he's always there and he's super cheap, but you're like, are we up again?
Yeah. So the name that jumps out to me is probably Elijah Moore, who they've been icing in preseason just because they don't want to risk him.
I'm down with Elijah Moore.
Who else do you like here?
Rondale Moore, but it's a little early, but I do like him too. But yeah, I'm fine with Elijah Moore. You're talking two rookies on teams that, I think they're pretty comparable.
I agree. I think Rondale Moore is a better bet to just have a fast start and immediately have, produce.
But we already have like 6 other wide receivers. So
yeah. Whereas Elijah Moore, I think, even if he starts slow, he has, the environment where he could just be their best wide receiver by the end of the season and be commanding, 10 targets. I don't think that's crazy.
No. And we could also take Zach Wilson later if we feel like it instead of one of the other ones, because I've been trying to mix him in too, because it's like, okay, I didn't take him a lot in the beginning, but I don't know. He makes me so – it's funny. I say this on every pod, but, like, he looks like he's 12, and it's so hard to draft someone like that. I'm just like, I can't deal. But then when he's been pretty good this preseason. So I'm like, all right, I need to get over my age bias here, and, he might actually be all right. It's hard with the Jets, too. We all know that, right? We have this, like, PTSD, the Adam Gase thing. It's really hard to think, like, hey, could they actually be fantasy relevant? It's tough to kind of,
I love how, Zach Wilson, I've heard Silva been doing it with Herbert. He can't say Justin Herbert without mentioning that he has acne.
Right.
He's so good with acne. Zach Wilson is so good, and he looks like he's a 16-year-old Abercrombie model. So it makes me uncomfortable.
It does. It's crazy. But yet at the same time, like he's doing it. He's shown, he's pretty good this preseason, or at least enough that I'm not as concerned. Like I wasn't taking him at all. I had no shares until this preseason started. And now I'm trying to sprinkle in a little because I'm like, he could surprise us, especially because he's ridiculously cheap.
He would. And I think too, not to pile on the Watson thing, but one of the reasons I don't love that pick is because guys like Jameis Winston, Zach Wilson are available in the same range. And those guys, to me, have similar, upside when you factor in all the other, environmental situations there. So I like Zach Wilson. I think, Pat got me on him early in the offseason saying, I think people are discounting him, not realizing he can run and he has a big arm. And those combinations can be extremely fun for fantasy. So if their defense isn't good, they're in a lot of negative game scripts, and they got good weapons there around him, like the Corey Davis, Crowder, Elijah Moore trio. That's a solid set of weapons.
Yeah, and then let's not discount Tyler Kroft. I forgot about him. He's someone I've been punting to because I feel like it's not going to be Herndon, and I feel like Kroft is going to surprise some people. I mean, let's be real, not in redraft or anything, but I've definitely taken some Kroft super late just because we know, I feel like he's talented enough that he may end up getting that starting job there.
Yeah, and that was one of the first, we talk about trying to separate signal from noise from preseason stuff. I mean, the Jets beat reporters have been pretty clear that Herndon is not the tight end one there, that it is Kroft. So if you were on that early and we're kind of tacking him on to dart throws, and then like you said, if Wilson is really good, then Kroft is probably an extreme value.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the guy Kenny Yeboah from last night. I think he scored like 3 touchdowns. I don't know. I shouldn't be throwing out random stats because people are yelling at me in the chat that I'm not right. So I think he had a really good game last night, which is he's their, I think he's their, I don't know, 4th tight end or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, where are we? I'm babbling and not even paying attention to the draft.
No, trust me.
We should probably take a running back here soon, huh?
Yeah, let's see. I do think the pocket of this draft is setting up nicely for a running back. I mean, we have Connor, Gus Edwards, and Pollard, who I all think. I mean, and honestly, Carter slipping this fall, I think is fine too. What is your take on kind of this batch of running backs?
Yeah, I'm about all of them. I like them all. I really like Jamal Williams too. I mean, not yet, but I do like him. I have no problem with any of them. I don't love Melvin Gordon, and we already have several Broncos, so I think we can probably pass on him.
You had me at I don't love Melvin Gordon. We are at lockstep.
Yeah, I mean, really, it doesn't matter who we had, but yeah, I don't have much Melvin Gordon, but yeah, I'd be okay with with Gus, Connor, Pollard. I'm not a Drake person.
Yeah. So looking at all this stuff, to me, this is setting up for 2 running back picks. The one maybe exception would be if we wanted to grab Irv Smith. But let's get our preferred running back here. So Connor and Edwards go. What do you think about, I would say Carter or Pollard? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Carter's not going to start right away, but I think he's going to end up, being the guy there. So if we just get someone else later that'll get us points, earlier in the season, because we only have 1 running back. So on our next go around, we need to maybe get Pollard or even Williams. I think,
I'm down with Williams for sure.
I mean, Swift is, he's got a groin, which is always an issue, and it's not, those don't go away very quickly. And I think Jamal Williams would have already had, a decent role without a groin injury to Swift. So I've been scooping up Williams really wherever I can. I think he's going to be a lot better than some people think.
I like that call a lot, and I already have way too much Pollard. And I do like you said, I completely agree. Carter's probably a guy we have to wait on to get production. Whereas Jamal Williams, he can be that kind of early season guy. He's going to have a defined role. And if Swift is not playing, I mean, Jamal Williams, I don't think he has like full bell cow back in him, but he has like Austin Eckler usage in him.
Yeah. I'm extremely overexposed to Jamal Williams, but I don't care. It may burn me, but I don't feel like it will. I feel like we know who he is, and
I feel like it's hard for those kind of guys to truly burn you just because they have such a nice floor with kind of their role in their usage, where they're not necessarily going to be a league winner for you, but you're never going to look back and be like, I lost this league because of Jamal Williams in the 11th.
Yeah, true.
Tony Pollard does go right after us. The Tony Pollard stuff, it's like year after year, we talk ourselves into it. The thesis of the play has not changed, but I still do. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I do think there are realities where we come out and he has more of a just kind of entrenched passing game role right out of the gate. And I do think that there's scenarios where that happens.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Pollard is one of those that we all talk ourselves into it every year. And then, I think, I don't know. I've tried to make myself not take as much of him in that area. But same with Gus. I feel like both of them are very, very similar. And I kind of end up alternating between the two and then trying to force myself to not take either. I've had to force myself to take some Zach Moss. It feels really gross because I really don't believe that Buffalo wants to run the ball or will run the ball, But I forced myself to take some Zach Moss this year because he is talented. And I feel like maybe this year will be different than the last.
Yes, for sure. Final call on the Underdog hat giveaway. Just put the form in the chat. Please don't let me catch you multi-entering. I will sort and remove duplicates, and I will toss you out. I'll have the bouncer come and throw you out if you try to game the system here because of the nice people at Underdog giving us a hat. We're going to be back tomorrow, the 12 days of best ball. I don't think I booked a guest for tomorrow. I might be solo, and I don't know when I'm going to feel like doing it, but there will be a stream at some point tomorrow. Very excited to have Jen with me here today. Jen, tell the people some of the pieces you've been working on.
Right now it's actually really nice. I'm in a nice little lull, which is kind of fantastic because the summer has been insane. I've done a ton of sleeper pieces and bounce. I have a bounce back candidates, and I've got a couple different, late round target pieces. But right now I do preseason recaps. So every Monday on 444, I get a recap of any fantasy relevant news from the games. And then I do an ADP risers and fallers on Tuesday morning, which is the aftermath of every preseason game and based on Underdog ADP, where they're going. So I have that. And then I just discovered today that there's only 3 preseason games. Like, it's something I should have known, but somehow I didn't. And we get a nice little chunk of time off, which is really nice. And it's funny. One of my coworkers, TJ Hernandez, the other day was talking to me about it, and I thought he was crazy. I didn't know what he was talking about. And then I realized today, I'm like, oh, that's what he meant. Like, you'd think I'd know that, but I didn't. So, working on preseason stuff. And then the season, once we get going, it's going to be full on. And I can't wait, honestly. I don't know about you, Pete, but I'm pretty over draft season. It's been a long one.
Yeah, I'm like the kid who, smokes a cigarette and then the dad makes you smoke a full pack of cigarettes. That's where I'm at with drafts right now.
I feel the same. It's a lot, and it's a lot of, the same conversations that we're having over and over about 80. It's like I get to a point where I'm like, if I hear the word ADP one more time, I can't do it. So that's I'm there. I'm about I'm about 80%. I've got another week in me, but
That I'm the exact same way. I got another week in me. It's going to be a sprint. I am legitimately loving it, but it will be very nice to switch into DFS and in season mode here. Okay, we are up in a pick. We is still yet to select a tight end, but I don't think that's room to panic necessarily. What are you seeing on this board here?
Okay. I am seeing, let's see. I don't hate Jonnu. Like, if we wanted to go that route, I think that, I think Henry's going to end up hurt, and I think Jonnu is going to be just fine. And even if Henry's there, I think they're really going to be the main situation in that offense. So I don't, let me see, as far as running backs, there's no one there that I'd be dying to get.
Yeah. So let's lock up Jonnu Smith here. I think he makes sense. And I still think, depending on this, we could still go 3 tight ends with Jonnu if we end up needing to.
Well, because we took Herbert, we don't have, now we know we don't have to take 2 or 3 quarterbacks. So we could if we needed to. But with Jonnu, I think we're fine with 2, to be honest, depending on what we want to do.
Yeah, especially if we end up prioritizing. I mean, we could just kind of quote unquote reach for Kmet and be done. Or because we have like a Jared Cook in our back pocket later, we could also push it. I do think
reach for Kmet, something I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say. That's
really Singletary or Hines, I think, also makes sense here.
Yeah, they do. Like I said, it's tough. I have to force myself to take Bills running backs, but I do get it. I understand, and he's a good value where we are. He slipped, almost around or something like that.
Yeah, I'm getting more excited. I have a lot of Singletary. Sean Siegel just wrote him up on his 0 RB list. Zach Moss has been a little banged up. I think there's, again, kind of outcomes where, Josh Allen isn't stealing as many touchdowns. They're scoring a ton of points. Singletary's on the field a ton. I think he again, similar to the Jamal Williams pick, I think it's almost impossible for Singletary to burn you at this price.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and we got him over 10 picks later than we should have. So I think, or not that we should have, but than ADP. So I'm totally fine with it. I would have been fine with Komet. I don't know. I hate to be someone that's like, I'm scared of Jimmy Graham, but I'm kind of scared of Jimmy Graham. I'm a little scared of that situation. Like, I want Cole Kmet to be the guy there, but I'm not quite sure he is.
Yeah, I think it's completely fair. I mean, Jimmy Graham was the fly in the ointment at the end of the year last year. Cole Kmet for me is just an easy guy to get excited about because he's so young. Because, I mean, really after Allen Robinson and Mooney, I mean, it's kind of wide open for a guy to kind of step in and be the third in targets there. I like his profile. He was so young coming out of college. So I think there's a lot to be excited about. And then if Fields is as good as we want him to be, you can just really envision scenarios where Komet's a top 10 tight end. But I completely agree with you. I probably put my head in the sand a little bit on Jimmy Graham. But on the other hand, generally when I'm building these teams, I'm just only thinking upside outcomes, and I just throw caution to the wind.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like I don't take Jimmy Graham. I just feel like he makes me nervous that he's definitely going to vulture plenty of touchdowns this season, or even just red zone targets in general. But I'm not bullish enough to actually take Jimmy Graham. Maybe in like a huge like 25 rounder or something where you're just at the end like, all right, I need bodies at this point that may actually score points.
Well, the worst possible thing that could happen and could also be very likely is that Komet breaks out. They use him a lot between the 20s, but then they're in love with Jimmy Graham in red zone packages. And then Graham is the one getting the valuable red zone targets. And so Komet's ceiling just ends up being capped to kind of, target volume and yards after the catch stuff because they're not looking for him in there. But I think there's such an unknown to this offense with what it looks like with Fields that I do think it's a nice upside bet with Komet.
Yeah. I would have been fine with that. I guess that's where we were. All right. So
we're almost. I was going to ask this one. Everyone's out on Komet because of the injury combined with.
Oh, Troutman, you mean?
Or Troutman, sorry. Yeah. To me, the big Troutman fall is way more about the injury than Juwan Johnson.
No, I agree with that. We don't know. Do we have clarity on the actual injury? I know it's a foot or leg, lower leg.
I thought I saw somewhere where it was at least like a month timeline. On that.
I have a lot of Troutman from April and May and June and whatnot. So I hope that it's not anything too crazy.
Yeah, they did say he avoided a major injury. It seems like they're still waiting on a timeline. I think he's a little risky right now without knowing that. And based on the preseason usage, even before he did get hurt, it did look like a pretty gross committee. Not even just Juwan Johnson. It was Nick Vannett is also in the mix there as well.
So, all right, we're coming up here. We do need to take another quarterback at some point, but I think we're okay for now, right? If we're going to go with Ben or whatever Ben or Teddy, I guess is kind of what we're thinking, right? Or
I completely agree with that, and I think they pair well with Herbert. What are your thoughts?
Oh wait, Ben has the same bye, so I guess we can't
maybe Teddy.
That. I guess that, yeah.
What are your thoughts on closing the loop on the Herbert double stack with Jared Cook?
Like I told you, I've done it a lot, so I'm not, I mean, you got Parham there. Like, I don't know if we should be scared of that. I feel like Cook's one of those guys. He's like the least sexy pick ever, but he's gonna be fine. I mean, he's gonna take over somewhat Hunter Henry's role, right? I mean, I don't think he's gonna be. I think he's fine, especially for where we're gonna get him.
Jared Cook goes.
Oh, come on, Fuzzy.
We could. I think Damian Williams is a nice pick here if we want to be done at running back.
I was
what else?
Going to say, I was going to say the same. I like Damian Williams a lot. I feel like, people seem to forget what he did in 2019. Like he was basically the Super Bowl MVP without being the Super Bowl MVP. And then he took a year off, and all of a sudden people just, for some reason, forget how good he was down the stretch in 2019 for Kansas City. So considering where he's being drafted, I've taken him a lot. Because, we're trusting David Montgomery to be the guy for the whole season. Like, and you got Tariq Cohen is hurt already. So
here's one other
okay.
idea for you at quarterback.
Yeah.
It would be to get the 14-year-old Zach Wilson, and then we could tack on a Tyler Kroft as a third tight end in a build.
I don't hate that.
I'm trying to see the only other thing. There's no tight ends that we like have to take here. And then we're still tacking on a couple more wide receivers, and no one's screaming at me.
I don't hate that. I mean, it's like we said, if Wilson ends up being good, then we have a decent piece of it, and for very cheap. So I don't hate that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. He Cook was taken just about ADP. I think his ADP is 171, so he went a few picks before here. I'm not specifically sure why. I think he just wanted to complete his tight end there with Kittle. But yeah. So let's look at this team here. We have 3 more picks. So I think we're set at quarterback. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
And then I think we're set at running back. Cook, Carter, Jamal Williams, Singletary, Damian. That's a great 5-sum there.
Sure.
Then we have 7 wide receivers. I think we're probably 1 wide receiver, 2 tight ends to wrap this up.
Yeah, I think because we have Smith, we should probably maybe get 2 because we just don't know. That Patriots offense is really tough to, it's tough to really count on Jonnu to have. I don't know if he's going to have those big spike weeks that we need. I think we maybe need to grab a couple guys that might end up doing that. Like Tyler Kroft could have, I don't know that he's going to be a consistent producer, but he may have, a couple weeks with 3 touchdowns or, something crazy like that.
Right. There also we'll have some looks at if we do want to do a Herbert double stack. Where are you at on the Josh Palmer versus Tyron Johnson versus Jalen Guyton trio?
I've been going Palmer for most of the offseason, and then now he's had a pretty good preseason, so I feel like it's raised him up a little more for me. So yeah, I've been going Palmer there.
And then on that same thought, we definitely don't have to take a Jets wide receiver if we take Kroft, but how have you been playing, the Keelan Cole, Denzel Mims crew?
I have not been.
Okay, that's probably the smart
I can
answer.
honestly say I don't think I have any of either of those 2. I've done Elijah Moore and I've done Crowder and Corey Davis, and I think that's pretty much it in that offense, other than the random Kroft shares that I do have.
Yeah. Yeah. The I right now, I like Corey Davis. I think his cost has gotten a little ridiculous with Elijah Moore not playing in the preseason and Corey Davis just commanding all these targets. And I think it's going to be much closer out of the gate from a target perspective than maybe Corey Davis stands want to believe. I do really think Elijah Moore is going to separate there as the alpha down the stretch.
And I could throw that we could take Parham, as like a super punt at the end and see what happens there. As far as that stat goes,
that actually, if we miss out on Palmer, I kind of like that Parham Kroft finish there.
Right, and just kind of roll the dice that something happens there with those guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, yeah, once you the chat's getting excited once you bring up Donald Parham. Everyone loves Donald Parham.
I know, and everyone loved him last year, and he didn't really pan out. But he's got Jared Cook in front of it. Like, it's tough with Jared Cook because every time I want to hate him, he ends up being like consistent and okay. You're just kind of like, okay, you kind of like want him to go away, But then again, he resurfaced for the Chargers, and then. But yeah, I'd be okay with Parham at the end if we wanted to go that route.
Yeah, he seems like a nice bet. I always kind of lump him in with the, exciting, efficient, athletic tight ends who are blocked, the Mo Alley Coxes, the OJ Howards, but those guys are in, potentially 3-way tight end committees, and Parham's really the direct kind of backup to Jared Cook. And based on what they're saying out of training camp, it feels like he could have a red zone role right out of the gate.
Right.
And then if Jared Cook is cooked or get injured, it could be blast off for.
Right. And also, honestly, like you've got Allen and then you've got Williams, which is, Williams is a shaky wide receiver too, I feel like. And then you've got a bunch of guys like Palmer, like you said. And so really, Parham could end up, if he beats out Jared Cook, let's say, he could be the third guy in that offense.
Where are you at as far as?
Other than Eckler, of course, but.
Right. Where are you at on like super stacking the Chargers if we wanted to get Palmer does go. I was just about to say if
Okay.
we're able to get Palmer and what's his face?
Right.
Parham.
No, I hear you. Yeah, I would have been fine with that. That would have been my answer. I have no problem with the full onslaught.
So I do think we can kind of get our wide receiver here, and then do our tight
Right.
ends.
Okay.
I say we go wide receiver, then Parham coming back, and then Croft with the last pick. Who do you like
Okay.
here for wide receivers?
Let's see. Yeah, I'm not. I don't like. Can you scroll down a little more?
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually put Parham in right now.
Okay.
Just to do that. Just because if there's no one that we love here, we can bide an extra bit of time.
Yeah, I don't love anybody. I mean, I want to love Nico Collins, but I don't. And everybody else in here. I mean, we could go Tony. I mean, not Tony.
We could just super stack one of these. We could toss in Cole.
Right.
We could toss in Tyron Johnson. The chat was suggesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't have much of either of those. So, like I said, I have 0 Keelan Cole. If you feel like he's going to have some kind of role, I'd be okay with that. But it's just pretty gross. It's pretty gross where we are, to be honest.
Yeah, it's gross. I mean,
Juwan Johnson in New Orleans is not an awful pick just because they're a mess there as far as, injury. But I don't know.
It's I would say, I take a lot of Nico Collins as a late round flyer. I don't even mind Hunter Renfrow. But you know what? Why don't we super stack the Chargers a little bit? I mean, I'm with you. I prefer Palmer. But Tyron Johnson looked good last year, and I don't know. I think he's a decent bet here if we're having, the Herbert nuclear scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not like we're gonna. I mean, he's our 8th guy, so I think we're okay there.
Awesome. As we wait for the wrap to do our final pick, I am going to get the giveaway up here. Thank you guys for filling out the form. Good luck to everyone. The winner will get a gift card to my store in the unlisted link to buy the hat. These are not available for purchase, only for the giveaways. Is it going to be Robbie or Nick? Robbie or Nick? It's close. It's close. It's close. Robbie.
Oh, Robbie.
Robbie R., congratulations. You have won an Underdog hat. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy. If for some reason you guys have not played over there, you can sign up. You get a minimum $10 deposit and you get $25 dropped into your account. Use promo code Pete and you will you'll be off to the races enjoying these fun drafts until the season starts. And hopefully you get a fish draft. Hopefully you get a Josh Allen going 101 in your draft.
Yeah, that would be nice. That doesn't happen to me, but yes, that would be fantastic.
I know we should be so lucky here. As we wrap around to finish this off, give us your take on how this team has shook out.
It's coming into this, if you told me we were going to go supercharger and then a Jets backups or Jets secondary, I don't know if I would have believed you, but I like it. Listen. You got to do different things, right? I mean, this is basically a GPP. So I do. I like it. I think we have. Listen, we have a quarterback that's we have a top 6, 7 wherever we are quarterback. I think he's going to be solid, and then we've got a 12-year-old that is looking good that could actually end up producing for us. We've got a solid, anchor RB situation with Cook. And then we've got 4 guys that, 3 guys that are definitely going to at least produce something right away. And I think Carter will end up, being pretty well towards the end. And then we've got, our receivers are great. I don't remember who we have past A.J. Brown and Keenan Allen, but I know we have, we've got 8 pretty solid wide receivers from what I remember. And then we're going to, we've got a great little fun punts at tight end, which I think is always fun because that's the thing with tight end. We all know, right? Tight end is a complete, it's always a cluster and there's always tight ends that score that no one counts on them scoring. And so I'm definitely in all drafts, whether it's redraft or best ball, I'm always an elite tight end or punt because I always skip the middle because I just don't feel like it's worth it. So I like what we did. I think it's random, which is what we need, but also good and calculated at the same time.
Yeah, I really like this team. It looks like a lot of my teams getting the 2-5-8-3 build instead of the 2-5-9-2, but that's exactly what we needed to do based on kind of how we allocated our draft capital. I love having pretty big bets on both the Chargers and the Jets there. If those quarterbacks go off, we're going to be in good shape. I think we have a nice textured running back room with Cook anchoring it. Nice blend of, handcuff upside, late season surge by a Michael Carter type, and then, making some smaller bets on Denver and Pittsburgh. And if you're going to fade quarterbacks with 2 double stacks, I mean, those are the teams to do it with. So
No,
I like how this shook out.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, those are definitely the 2 teams that you'd want to do that with. And I wasn't even kind of thinking about that as it was going along, but you're absolutely right. We got like, the best weapons in those offenses without having to deal with the murky quarterback situation.
Yeah, for sure. I like how this turned out. What is we didn't get to talk about it a ton as we're wrapping up. What is your take on Sutton? Because he seems like kind of the riddle to this whole Denver offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because we didn't get to see a lot of Sutton. He got hurt really early last year, and it's hard because he's never had a good quarterback situation, and unfortunately, he's still not going to have a great quarterback situation. So, I think his ADP has dropped a little bit. I think he was going pretty high earlier in the summer, and I think he's dropped a little bit to where he's a little bit more palatable. Like him and Jerry Jeudy have switched spots. They were originally, I think Sutton was going before him, but I think they're both talented enough, and I think they actually benefit with Teddy as far as consistency, right? I think Locke, has those big plays in him and he can do it, but I don't think I think Teddy, at least winning that job, like I think at least those 2 are going to be able to consistently put up points every week. They may not have those huge, crazy weeks, or they may. We'll have to see what happens with Teddy, but I feel like it was the right call, Denver-wise, to at least go with Teddy, because I feel like the fantasy relevant players now will at least have, a shot at being fantasy relevant every week. I feel like with Locke, it was kind of last year there were some weeks where he was horrific, and then some weeks where he, led a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter that was ridiculous. Like, where has this guy been? So, I think I like them both. I prefer Jeudy. Like if I'm just drafting one, which obviously we did draft Jeudy first, but then Portland happened to fall, and it's like, look, we're banking on them. Hopefully, both being productive.
For sure. And one other benefit to this build, and something I've been thinking about for these big tournaments, is the Chargers play Denver in week 17. And so we have this huge kind of game stack here with the Chargers and then the 2 pass catchers coming back. So to me, if we're live and we're heading into week 17 with that game stack and a potential shootout game, I like where we're sitting.
That's an excellent point. And I actually have someone sent me a spreadsheet with all the week 17. I'm supposed to be paying attention to that, but I haven't been. So I'm glad that you at least acknowledged that and knew that was a thing, because that's an excellent, situation to be in. Like you said, if we're live and actually have a shot, then that'll be a great game.
Yeah,
for us.
People give me a hard time for enjoying my slow drafts, but that is one of the benefits is there's more time to kind of check on the schedule, build in those extra correlations. So this one happened more serendipitously, but it is always nice to kind of get that extra added bonus to your roster.
For sure.
Jen, this was a ton of fun. I meant to tell you guys, and I haven't put it in the show notes, I did finally make a podcast feed basically for any of my shows that don't already have a home, Ship Chasing, Club Top Shot, all those already have feeds, but for these best ball streams. So I'm going to get the audio up from all of these. So if in the future, if you aren't able to make the video and you're on the go for the audio, I am making that available. Now the podcast is called In a Vacuum, Jen, because I said this term so many times that someone made this graphic for me. This is my new podcast graphic here, Jen.
You look like Bill Nye, first of all.
Yeah. So shout out to Michael Parr for making my Bill Nye in a vacuum there. Very much appreciate it. Yes, Vincent, you missed the giveaway. Yeah. We did the giveaway at the end of the 17th round.
That's a great name. It's funny. That expression is always out there, but I wasn't aware it was one of your staples.
I didn't want it to be one of my staples, but I lean into the skid is kind of my rule in life.
You have to, right?
Jen, over at 4for4, over
Yes.
at NBC Sports Edge, over at Yahoo, at the Monday. Is it the Monday Mommy?
Yeah.
The Monday Mommy on Twitter. Anything else where people can check you out?
No, that is it. And that's enough. That's a lot. So yeah, I will be my usual stuff at 4for4 through the season, and then I will be doing one article for NBC and one article for Yahoo this season as well. So look out for that.
That's awesome. Well, always enjoy following you on Twitter. Always enjoy reading your work. Excited to continue our annual tradition of doing the best ball draft together, Jen. And appreciate you getting up bright and early there in Colorado for us.
No, absolutely. Anytime. Like I said, when Peter Overzet calls me, I'm here. No, thank you. It was great. And thank you for KZ Brown. That's very sweet of you. He said he needs more Jen on shows. Great guest. So thank you. I do appreciate that.
I agree. Get Jen on your shows. Read her work. We will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know what time yet. I got to figure it out. I'm going to the beach. I need to relax after
good call
after this week. So we'll see everyone tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Thanks to Jen. Peace out.